So aloha everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an unboxing of the brand new Honor V20. I have both colors here, the Phantom Blue and the Phantom Red. Now there is a third color that I wasn't able to get my hands on, but let's not waste any time. Let's check out what makes these guys special. At the beginning I mentioned two different variants, so we have two different boxes. Again, I mentioned to you guys we have the Phantom Blue and then the Phantom Red. We're going to get a chance to check them out and of course see how they work. But let's go ahead and do a quick unboxing. So here's... Since they're both pretty much the same device, let's go ahead and focus on one of them. And here we have the Phantom Red. As I mentioned, there's two colors and we'll get a chance to look at the Phantom Blue there, but you can definitely see here some of the iconic V shapes right there. So you can see that reflection in the glass, and it's done intentionally so that it obviously matches the V20, but it also gives us a new design that we can actually go with. The blue one looks pretty much the same with the exception obviously of the blue tones that we get. We have a SIM ejector tool, a free clear case, USB-C to USB-A, and a Huawei Supercharge. I was told this was Huawei Supercharge 1.0, but I'll have to be able to check that out. I do have a Huawei Supercharge 2.0, and I'd love to be able to see if there's any increase in benefit using that with this device. Okay, so here we have it both, the Phantom Blue and the Phantom Red. Both have that iconic V look that they came out with, and it looks really nice. And the way I can best describe it is that there's kind of like three different sections of Vs that you kind of go up and down. You notice right there, the V kind of goes up and down, but it actually, for the most part, shimmers in three different areas. And it's pretty much the same here on the red one. You can see here, the color looks really good. There's supposed to be another third color, that's the black one, and I wasn't able to get my hands on that one, but I can imagine that it looks even as good as this, just basically more of a darker color. But as far as specifications, as I mentioned before, we're looking at the 8 gig 256 variant of this device. There will be other models, and this is the international version. Other than that, of course, the 48 megapixel sensor in the back is one of the main stars. We have a fingerprint sensor that's actually outside this time. There's not in the display the way we have it with the Magic 2. Still have a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as an IR blaster and a microphone at the top, volume rocker and a power button on the right side. On the left side, we pretty much just have basically the SIM trays supporting two dual SIMs. Unfortunately, no SD card expansion on this one, but they do support LTE on AT&T in the US. And one of the other, of course, big stars on this is the fact that we have that little pinhole camera that we have on the top left. And the beauty about this is that it actually takes almost no space with the UI. You can pretty much see here, the UI has been routed around it, and you can actually hide it. So let's say we go into the display here, we'll go into settings, and we'll go into display. We can actually go under more. And we can basically here, they're calling it the notch, but it's not really a notch since it's kind of a pinhole camera. And you can pretty much just hide the entire UI, and it kind of just crops it and adds a black bar over it so that your UI kind of routes around it. There's no more issues there. Again, it's a personal preference if you'd like that. I personally like to have it so I can have the most amount of my display. And of course, when you do that, you kind of get that whole almost all-inclusive display. Now there is a small amount of chin at the bottom and a very minimal chin on the top. But again, still it kind of attributes to a full size display that you almost don't have to worry about either sliding mechanisms, notches, or anything like that. The earpiece is present. It's right there sitting at the top. You're able to use that, and everything else looks pretty much the same. As I said, and you can see pretty much here with the little Goku Black and the regular Goku God Blue. I wanted to kind of mirror these two colors and just kind of give you guys these little options here. But again, and of course, let me know if you'd like to know about the actual theme that I have here. This is a custom theme not built into the device. As far as the software running here, we are looking at Emui 9.0, but it's been rebranded to be called Magic UI. And if you go under System and you go Software, so the model number is PCT-L29 Honor V20. Again, this is called Magic UI. The version of the software that I have on there is 9.0.1.125, and I did receive an update after unboxing this phone, and it required me to do that so that I can actually get that new mode in the camera for which the AI clarity option, and I'll check that for you guys in a second. Kirin 980 is powering this device, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage. This is a 1080p pen, as I mentioned to you guys, with the security patch update of January 1st, 2019. So definitely latest and greatest running on this device. As far as the UI, Magic UI 2.0 is pretty much very similar to all the other Android 9.0 options that we've seen from Honor. The categorizations are there. You have the ability to go into device connectivity, wireless network, home screen, and wallpaper. This is where you can customize your themes, as well as the ability of going from the drawer home screen option or without. Out of the box, it does come without the drawer, and I was able to turn that on. And of course, you can lock screen signature, show step counter if you want, and customize not only the magazines, the wallpapers, as well as the magazine unlock if you'd like to set that up. And that was the option for the themes as well. Now, as far as apps, we do have the ability of using app twins. It is installed. It hasn't been turned on. I do have basically Facebook installed, but I didn't have to use it yet. We have App Assistant. Default apps will allow us to install and access secondary launchers, so you can go in there and customize that. There is no issues with this variant. I can't speak to the Chinese variant that was originally announced, but for this one at least you're able to do that. As I mentioned to you, under the display you're able to customize the color mode, temperature, sleep, eye comfort, text size, and of course screen resolution. It is on smart, which means it jumps between 720p and 1080p, just to kind of keep the battery consumption to a minimum. And under more options, you can go in there and hide that notch if you don't like it. Status bar, of course, display carrier name, and of course network speeds if you'd like to turn that on. And of course screensaver if you want to be able to set that up. Of course, we have notification customization here. Battery, it's pretty simple. We have a power saving mode, ultra power saving mode, battery usage, of course, battery consumption usage. And if you want to be able to add the percentage, so you can go in there, you can turn it on and you can have it either next or inside. I have it just sitting next. More battery options, just basically a little bit more options similar to what we've seen before. Before I go too far with the digital balance, this is again a 4,000 milliamp battery supported by the Honor or the Huawei Supercharge 1.0, and it should be able to charge up our device pretty quickly. And of course, digital balance is very much the digital well-being that we have from Google, customized to run on our Honor devices, and it works pretty well. Again, built into the Android 9.0 experience that we've seen on these devices. Security and privacy, similar options. You have app lock, private space, and private space works very, very nicely. You can just lock the device, unlock it, get into the normal mode, and if I unlock it with a different finger, it gets me into a different experience. And then, of course, you can just have it basically your own personal space, go back in it, and of course, unlocking it with the other fingerprint takes you back directly into the system that you were in. So as you saw right there, I was able to jump between two different spaces very easily. And of course, file safe, more settings, and then of course there's App Twin, which we talked about before, as well as permissions. Smart Assistant, user account, and Google, of course, all of those things are in there. About phone, and we've already covered that option. Software update, system navigation is what we have here, and we pretty much have only three options. We have gesture, 3-key navigations, and navigation dock. So the 3-key navigation, this is the normal one we've seen before. You turn it on, it comes up at the bottom. You can customize it, reorder it, add the option to be able to open up the notification panel. So in case you don't want to basically bring it up from the top, you can turn that on, and or of course you could just go with the standard one and then either reverse it or not. Hide key navigation bar, basically if you want to be able to turn that on, it just basically hides it whenever you're not using it, and whenever you need it, you just swipe up and bring it back. I personally like to keep it with the navigation gestures, as I feel like it just does not, I don't have to worry about where the dock is. I can just basically use it, and it's definitely very nice. I do have to say that having the fact that the camera is right above where the normal back button is, for the most part, I'm always worried I'm actually going to put my finger on the camera. But again, a 25 megapixel sensor in the front is very, very nice. Developer option, of course, simple mode if you'd like to turn that on, backup and restore using the high suite options, or even using the backup data here, Google backups, of course, all the other options. But the Huawei backup is definitely the one that you're going to be using if you're transferring data from, let's say, an older Honor device to the new one. Other than that, the theme as I'm showing you guys here, this is a dark theme off of the XDA forums. I'll give you guys a link to that if you'd like to know about it. And it does include this icon pack. The screensaver or the background wallpaper that I have here, that was something I found off of Pinterest. I'll try to see if I can find a link to that, and I'll put that for you guys as well in the description. The camera application is definitely where most of the magic will happen here, and most of it is because we do have obviously AI supported by the NPUs, or the dual NPUs. Now, as far as mode, we have AR lenses. So we have night mode as well, and that's the standard night mode with the extended exposure. Portrait mode, of course, we can customize it and go in there to the different options for the circles. You can go in there, customize the lighting effect if you'd like. You have the ability of customizing beauty, as well as this new shaping image, which gives you the ability of basically making your subject thinner, I guess, or apply some kind of thinning mechanism. There is a up to 2x optical zoom. This is built into the UI, no wide angle lens. Under photo, we have the ability of going into AI mode, and now this is where we've seen before with Honor devices as far as the way they're using the NPU. You have the ability of toggling on or off. Without it on, you can actually just basically take normal pictures, but if you take them on, you can always take that off later on. AI photography is turned on, and you can actually use that so I can have better scene recognition. Under video, we have the same thing. We have the ability of going in there and applying the different options. So we have AI color, which is really, really functional whenever you're trying to basically take video. So you can see right there. Basically, it takes out the color in here, and it's intended, if I bring my hand in here, you'll see, you can see some of the red showing here right there on the phone, because this is obviously a red phone. So if I put the phone a little bit off and I bring my hand, you can see here, so my hand is colored and everything else is black and white. So we do have AI color. This is some of the stuff we've seen on the Mate 20 Pro. And of course, we have all the other options you can go in there and customize. Under more, we have a lot more options that we can use. HDR, of course, is present. Aperture mode is the ability of doing that bokeh effect. It's been taken out from the main app and now put in as a mode. Now, by default, the camera comes out with the 12 megapixel setting. Basically, it's a 4:3 aspect ratio at a 12 megapixel sensor. So it's a great picture, but it's downgraded to 12. You can go straight into the 48 megapixel sensor, which essentially is just a standard raw image. You can snap a picture and take a regular picture. And of course, there's the new mode that was added with that last update that I had to put in. And that allows us to use the AI Ultra Clarity. And that takes a little bit more, a better, more sharper image at 48 megapixels. And it takes a little bit longer to take an image. It's essentially, it's an extended exposure. There's a few options, of course, here. AI 4D tracking. This is for moving subject. You can turn on the grid, watermark, resolution, of course. But once you turn that on, the camera will basically start taking pictures at a slightly slower rate, but it's supposed to take much better pictures. So let's go ahead and put in the, we'll put the phone right there. I'll tap in pen. I'm gonna give it a second. So you'll notice, give it a second. Oh, you know what? I think we're still in that 48. We didn't switch over to the Ultra. Yep, here it is. We'll switch over. And let's go ahead and take that picture now. And you can see right there, there's about a 5-second delay, and it just basically does the same way. Like if you've taken pictures with a night shot on these devices, it pretty much looks the same. But essentially, the point is that you can actually zoom in all the way here and see the word honor. You can see how small and how much bigger and how clear it stays even at this resolution. One of the main things, of course, is the fact that the front-facing camera also not only supports AI, but HDR. So we have HDR support. Hey, you guys. And it's present on both the front camera and the back camera. So here's a quick sample of the 25 megapixel sensor on the front. And now I do have HDR turned on, so you do have HDR during video, even on the front facing camera. But unfortunately, the maximum resolution is still capped at 1080p. I'm not sure why we have that in 2019, that a very strong 25 megapixel sensor is capped at that level. But overall, the camera or the video should look pretty good. And at least from what I can see, I think it looks pretty nice. It would definitely look a little bit better outside when you have a little bit more contrast and the HDR can kick in a little bit better. Let's switch over to that 48 megapixel sensor in the back. Okay, so we went ahead and switched over to the back sensor, and this is again a 48 megapixel sensor. The one thing you want to keep in mind is if you have any of these modes that I was showing you guys, like the AI color or anything like that, video will be capped at 1080p. Now I am recording at 1080p, but I removed that option, and you're able to use that with the back facing sensor. The maximum resolution on this is going to be 4K at 30 frames per second. Haven't heard any updates as far as 4K at 60 frames per second, but I'm really looking forward to seeing if we're able to get that with the Kirin 980. Hopefully that was a good enough sample as far as video from the front and the back facing sensor. Let's go ahead and switch over to YouTube for some audio. And here we have the quick audio sample. We're playing Alex Scrindo, Jumbo, and NCS Release. Volume is at 100%. So speaker is a bottom firing speaker, no stereo speakers, and it's basically present on the top right. You could pretty much see it right there. The grill is only there. Not the loudest speaker that I've heard on a device, but definitely very nice that it's not present down here, because as we usually hold our devices and play, number one place where we actually block stuff is on the bottom left and the bottom right. To be able to take advantage of the built-in EQ, we can go into the settings tab under vibration. We'll take this into sound, and right there it says Huawei Hisense sound effect. Now, that option can only be available once you have a headset either Bluetooth or wired. So let's go ahead and plug in a wired headset, and that should be able to, you notice where there's a little bit of an effect there. I can click that now and I can go in there. You have auto, 3D sound, and then 3D just gives us the ability of going between spatial, either standard 3D sound, front facing, surrounding, or even higher surrounding. So, and you can of course go to natural or standard, or even just leave it on auto. It kind of works kind of like the Dolby Atmos options that we've seen on other Huawei devices. But this is really nice to be able to see this on an Honor device, as the sound quality will definitely be a lot better using this built-in EQ. So I'm pretty sure you guys would like to see basically how minimal and how small the little sensor that we have here, and of course the UI actually even wraps all around it. Now, one of the other things you'll notice right there is that little icon that we have here, and that just basically shows the Emui desktop mode that we've seen before, but actually it is present on an Honor device this time. So we're using wireless projection will not only allow you to project the display, the full display of this device, but you're also able to use it in Emui desktop mode. So you can see right there, this is on the phone mode, touchpad, or disconnect, and of course you can switch it over and connect it to a smart enabled TV. So I've been using the blue one for the last couple of days, and I'm definitely very happy with the quality of the pictures, the audio quality, the playback, the fluidity usability in the UI. 8 gigs of RAM is definitely way more than enough than we need here. And of course, running the latest version and the latest security patch just looks really nice. The AI clarity was pushed out as an OTA. As I mentioned to you guys, you do need to update this. So if you pick up the device right at launch, make sure you do that OTA. And that one was about 3.6 gigabytes. It was a full OTA for the entire system. But I like the fact that we have the sound EQ. I want to see some more stuff done with the basically time to flight sensor. They showed us some stuff at the launch event where I was able to play, and I'll show you guys that little quick video. It's kind of like a ski game that was using the 3D sensor. It's kind of like a Kinect. And that was something that I wanted to be able to basically test out. There's also going to be a dock that they also made available. I'm showing you guys right there. And I'm hoping to be able to get some more hands-on with this. This is leading up to obviously the launch event in Paris in about a week or so on the 21st. So if you want to know more stuff about the V20, please hit me up in the description below or the comments below over on Twitter or even on Instagram, as I'm sharing more content, pictures and things that I've been doing with the V20. And definitely let me know what you guys think of my home screen. Do you like the wallpaper? As you know, big Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super fan here. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.